Thanks very much, Keith. The most knowledgeable ginger in racing. I'll tell you what, these gingers are the master race, Keith, and we've got a good full head of hair. But thanks for that. Right, the biggest news down here on the pits on the straight at the moment is, of course, Michael Laverty doing this first front row start of the year on the Stobart Honda. But we'll get to him in just 1 second. Before we do, I just want to pull in one of the superstars who's been a bit laid up, Sean Emmett. Sean, what's the latest with the elbow? You're not in action here again today, but what's the latest diagnosis?
No, I've had it. Obviously had the screws inserted by the surgeon. I went back for X-ray. The bone's knitting together now, so it's starting to look. It looks all right, a bit like a knee, but it'll do. It works.
So how long have we got until you're back out in action?
Back out at Silverstone, definitely back. So we got a natural 6-week break now. So for me, it's quite handy. So yeah, I'll be back and causing havoc hopefully. So.
Are you missing all this at the moment?
I am. Yeah, I love it here. I mean, I've been in Rostrum the last 3 years here. So did a double 3 years ago. So yeah, it's hard work watching, but there we go.
Brilliant, thanks very much, mate. Right, we'll let you get off. Okay, as we said, Michael Laverty. The big news about Laverty is that he's re-signed with Paul Bird for next year on the Stobart Hondas. So Laverty has all the foundations in place, and it's here where he's obviously building that momentum. Everything is improving for him now, and he's got some good foundations. Next thing, we have the injured Michael Rutter. We're just going to try and grab a quick word with Mike. Mike, just before you put the lid on, how you feeling, man?
Yeah, all right. Yeah, not too bad. I had a bit of an off yesterday, but battered and bruised a bit, but I'm okay.
Yesterday you said that it was kind of hurting you across the collarbones. You have no breakages though or anything, do you?
I think I'm all right.
All right, and is that going to limit your movement around on the bike?
It seems to be all right, so just hopefully we can do something about my teammate.
And the strategy for that, just get away with him at the start and try and hang on?
Yeah, you know, there might be other few people up there. I think Leon's doing some good laps on that, so just see how it goes.
Excellent, mate. Thanks very much. Okay, right. We'll leave Michael to get on with it then. Next thing, of course, is Keogh, not on pole position for this time. And then the pole position man, he looks fairly set and mean and moody, doesn't he? He's squatting down there, Leon Haslam. Leon, quick one just before you shoot off. Thoughts on this race? How do you think it's going to go? You've been going good all weekend.
Yeah, looking forward to it. A little bit out of temperatures now, but we should be able to deal with that. And it's going to be a matter of getting away with them. And I think Keogh's got the starts at the minute, so if we can sit behind him and break the rest of them, and let's see how it pans out at the end for the battle.
Qualifying was a bit hit and miss there at the start, wasn't it? But you managed to find some pace at the end.
Yeah, we tested quite a lot of stuff, and we've been in the top 3 all weekend, and to get the pole was fantastic, and hopefully we can turn it into a win.
All right, mate, thanks very much. Best of luck for that. So down here, it's absolutely baking down. The sun shines on the righteous at the moment. It's shining on the walking wounded of the...
Is a quick old part of the track, there's no doubt about it. 165 miles an hour up the hill towards the first turn, which is Riches and Sears. There's a double right-hander at the top of the hill, and then 190 mile an hour down the back end of the straight. That is Michael Laverty, the Ulsterman. That is, well, the HM Plant Honda boys. Really, that motorcycle sounded like it meant business when it was on the stand on Friday when I first came across it. Looking across at John Reynolds, the defending champion. There is Haslam to the right of your picture. A little bit of a jump start, possibly for a plater there. We'll have to wait and see if we got a jump start. Neil was almost across me as far as that's concerned, but look at it. Keonari, brilliant start from him. Laverty drops in right behind 91 Leon Haslam. Haslam in second place at the moment, being pushed out of Vivaldi Kawasaki. Looked a bit like Scott Smart to me. I think his teammate Ben Wilson is just in front of him as we come down to the turn onto the back straight. This is such a crucial part of the course because you've got to get it absolutely right. Out of Sears corner, onto the Revit straight now, down towards the S's, 190 miles an hour, looking for a big slipstream. Up the outside goes. Who is it? Laverty looks at the inside of Haslam and gets it. No, he doesn't. Haslam better on the brakes and the entry into the S's at the moment. Well, not what Michael Rutter would want. His teammate 2 places in front, Neil.
You have to be brave into that first left-hander because the left-hand side of the tyre, not warm at all, but everyone didn't want Keogh to get a jump because you know that if he gets away in front then it's going to be hard to deal with. But Keogh got the perfect start, textbook start, and of course Haslam chasing after him.
Carl Harris trying to ride on top of one of the Hawk Kawasaki's. Joining us here in the commentary box is Glenn Richards. We're on the opening lap at the moment. Glenn, sorry about your broken collarbone. Thanks for joining us here in the commentary position. And you've got to say, with Keonari on this kind of form, it's a nightmare for the rest.
Well, for sure, you know, he's a bit of a computer really, and he once he gets out in front, he just reels off the laps. And I mean, you need someone to get up the inside and duff him up a little bit, you know.
Certainly looks like Haslam's quick enough there. He was on a bit of a wide old line into Riches, but he's got it all pulled back down here for Sears. Let's have a look now on this overhead camera, just how quick that Ducati is compared with the 2 Hondas. And certainly, well, I tell you what, that Honda looks damn rapid.
Haslam was quick into Riches, but Keogh turned that bike tight and was able to punch out there. along to Sears onto the back straight, and of course Haslam trying to catch him down the back straight there. Michael Laverty, he's turned his front row qualifying position into a brilliant race start.
Reynolds and Hayden on the two Rissa Suzuki's 5th and 6th as well. Keep an eye on them. John Reynolds, he gets a little bit more upbeat every time he rides that motorcycle, and he gets a little bit quicker every time he rides it too.
This is where Haslam's quick. He can catch Keenari in here into the final chicane.
Dunlop versus Michelin. Michelin on the Honda, Dunlop on the Airwave Ducati, and they're at Russell's. This has been a nightmare for so many riders, particularly James Hayden, who's had a big off there as well. Hayden is, well, he's just dropping back a little bit from his teammate on the Rizzler bike, I think, back in 5th place. But it is 6, Keenari that leads from 91. Leon Hassan from 33, the remarkable Michael Laverty, just 23-year-old Ulsterman, and he really is coming good in this Superbike series, just when it counts. And it's number 2, Michael Rutter, and then it will be number 1, John Reynolds, from number 18, James Hayden. Dean Thomas is the first of the Hawk Kawasaki bikes in 7th place. That's the number 12 bike. And fastest lap so far has gone to John Reynolds. John Reynolds has the quickest lap of the race so far, just underlining his commitment. And he's bridged the gap between his teammate Hayden and the back of this leading 4, look.
Yeah, Michael Rutter just in front of John Reynolds there. John Reynolds nearly in the slipstream, not quite close enough. You could argue that Haslam was in the slipstream coming on to back straight there, but Keenari still pulled away.
I think that Honda is very, very quick. We've seen that before, out of them almost, well, it's not dead stop corner, is it? It's quite a quick corner, the corner onto the back straight, but all the same, the Honda punches low down in the gears.
Low down, short ratios, real close ratios, it really punches out the corners. You can see Haslam's closer here, but Keenari will punch out here onto start-finish straight.
Be interesting to see how they grunt up the hill, whether the Ducati's got it. It's that initial, isn't it? It's that initial 10 yards, the Honda just leaps away from the Ducati.
The power is so well controlled, low gears, but front stays down, no wheeling. The Honda is particularly good at that.
So, the man that's making a real name for himself last year, Yukio Kagayama in the Rizza Suzuki camp, was the hero in Britain of the Japanese contingent. Now it's Keenari, and really, you've got to say, Keenari just looks fantastic.
He turns that bike tight, and it appears that Haslam can catch him, but you can see just how it punches out the corners. Michael Laverty, he's a man on the move.
I think Haslam has got a bit of a problem coming from Michael Laverty. Laverty, of course, not been on the podium in Superbike yet. It's been predicted in some of the Irish magazines that Knockhill would have been his, his first big chance, and I reckon that he could break the duck here at Snetterton because he's looking very good. It's going to be a bit down to tyres. We're only lap 4 of 25, and remember back a few years, major problems in the heat here with the middle of the tyres being cooked.
Almost 190 miles an hour along the back straight. These tyres get really hot in the middle. Triple compound tyres, most of these guys are using different compounds in the outside to the one in the middle. Much stronger construction and compound in the middle of the tyres.
Can't believe that John Reynolds still has the fastest lap of the race. That was on lap 2. Keogh still leads from Leon Haslam, from Michael Laverty.
But as Glenn said, Keogh is just a machine. He's just a computer. He's just racking off consistent laps.
There it goes. He's just knocked his time out. Reynolds then has dropped off of the fastest lap board. Jump start ride through penalty for number 68, we're told, as it is at the moment. And if I have a quick look down my order, forgive me for not remembering, Steve Brogan, I thought I recognised the number. So the PR Branson Honda gets a drive-through penalty, and it's a 65 kilometre penalty in 65 kilometre speed limit in pit lane here. It's quite a long old pit lane.
Gregorio Lavia didn't make the start we expected. He's back down in 8th place, and Gregorio has been able to battle his way through tight, twisty tracks, but it's a little bit of a different story here at Snetterton. You need to be away with the front guys.
And to put that drive-through penalty into context of number 68, Steve Brogan, he is the leading Superbike Cup rider out there at this moment in time on the track. So that drive-through is going to cost him very dearly indeed. 35 has retired as well, so that is a bit of a disaster for Chris Burns. Chris Burns riding Alistair Flanagan's AIM Racing Yamaha, replacing John McGuinness here. John McGuinness sitting watching this at home. He did get a call from the Hawk Kawasaki boys, I think. Lee Jackson and John McGuinness seem to be in the fray as far as that replacement of Glenn Richards is concerned. And McGuinness, because he wasn't on site, a long way from Morecambe down to here.
It certainly is. It's good to see Chris Burns back. He's a talented young lad, very serious about his racing. He's actually spent a couple of years in MotoGP with the WCM team that are now running Blatters in MotoGP, but Chris Burns ended up with no ride this year, and I know his manager's been trying hard to push him in somewhere, so hopefully he's here for the rest of the season.
Something close to your heart there. James Hayden seems to have got his second breath because he's closed right down on John Reynolds now as well. It'll be interesting to see what those lap times are when they get across the line in a moment. Hayden, he's well beaten up, Hayden, as well, and he's not happy with the front end of that motorcycle. Still a little vague.
It's Lavia
down. Whereabouts is that, I wonder? That must be at Sear.
Coming up the back straight,
I thought it was, it is. Sear corner.
It'll be interesting to see if we can get that thing started.
I'll be impressed.
Yeah, just for those of you at home that have never tried to start a racing Ducati, if you don't get them absolutely bang on dead right and the millisecond timing that it takes to dump the clutch, you've got to get them up to about 30 mile an hour pushing them just to start the damn things. You've got so much compression, they just don't turn over. So, still looking at this battle from John Reynolds. John Reynolds really does. I mean, the Rizla Suzuki was the bike of Snetterton last year. This, though, is Snetterton 2005. The Hondas are absolutely dominant. We've seen how fast Chianari's is, but that Rizla Suzuki is closing on number 2 in the HM Plant team, and that is Michael Rudder.
Well, I think Glenn would probably agree with me. The Suzuki certainly never lacks any top-end speed. Handling has been a little bit of an issue to get things right for JR and James Hayden this weekend, but it has grunt, it has acceleration.
Do you see that again there? In that little short bit out of the S's down to the bomb hole, that Honda just leapt away again, didn't it?
It seems it's out of that section of the track though. The problem is the bike's wheelie a lot, and it seems to be the Honda just seems to be able to keep the front wheel on the ground better than some of the other bikes.
I'll tell you what, JR, the defending champion, this is the raciest he's been all year so far, so things getting better and better, and John Reynolds, well, that'll be a bit of a shot for Michael Rudder. 2 shots in fact. Chianari's way out in front at the moment, and he's got Haslam and Laverty between him and the race leader, and he might just have a bit of a problem with an ever-improving John Reynolds, and certainly the way he's beginning to slide that motorcycle into the turns, Reynolds looks very racy.
Well, John Reynolds had a good second race at Knockhill, finishing 6th, and it was a good 6th position. He was with guys that won races this year, so he's been improving. As you said, as the season's been going on, look at that Rizla Suzuki. Got in Michael Rutter slipstream there, grunting down the back straight, not quite close enough to get down the inside.
Well, Glenn Richards has retired to the commentary position here, and the man that's taken his ride for this week only, Lee Jackson, is in pit lane now. He too is out of this race, so Glenn, you haven't got any strict competition from a permanent heave-ho there anyway.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on there, but no, I mean, Lee's a good lad actually. He was my teammate a few years ago, and he knows how to ride these things.
Michael Laverty backs it in front of this man, number 2, Michael Rutter. Right there, though, 1 is John Reynolds with 18 James Hayden on the 2 Suzukis. Laverty been dropped off a little bit by Leon Haslam. Haslam has 2nd place fairly well covered on Bike 91, and it's 33 Laverty, 2 Rutter, then 1 Reynolds, 18 Hayden. Hayden looking quick through the Riches and Sears section, getting a good run on his teammate, and looks to the inside line, and John Reynolds just grabbed it, forces John Reynolds out, and this will be the test of John Reynolds, whether he is yet prepared to mix it bash bearings. That's gone bang. That is Michael Laverty's bike.
Laverty.
It is the Eddie Stobart Honda that's gone pop. Get that bike the other side of the white line, please, Michael. So, 33, Michael Laverty. I spoke too soon. Disaster for him. Paul Bird will be very upset about that indeed. That is a rare old situation as far as Birdie's team's concerned. Not many of his bikes go pop, that's for sure.
He could have done really of getting off the track a bit quicker too.
He could have done, yeah, I have to agree with you there, Glenn. Can't argue with that.
Yeah,
Marty Nutt is the best. Sorry, carry on.
Yeah, not a lot you can do when it's blown up. Yeah, I agree with Glenn that it's really safe for everyone if you can get off the track. James Hayden showing no respect for his teammate there, right past John Reynolds, pushing him wide and now chasing after Rutter.
Well, good enough for James Hayden. You've got to say there is no more determined man out on that racetrack than James Hayden. Sometimes I look at him when he comes in after a race and he's scary. And there he is, James Hayden in front of John Reynolds then, forced him out at this point a lap ago.
It's too bad he didn't barge past John Reynolds, because John Reynolds, I'm sure, was setting up Michael Rutter for a bit of a pass along the back straight on that last lap, but JR will dig in.
We'll see. He's got a bit of work to do just yet. Michael Rutter has called through, goes Chianari, race leader, through goes to 2nd place Leon Haslam, then it's this man number 2, Michael Rutter. Michael Rutter, of course, not quite himself. He took a big beating yesterday. James Hayden, likewise, had 2 big beatings, one at Russell and one on the exit Coram Curve, which is really, really quick. And, of course, John Reynolds took a massive beating at the beginning of the year. Seems to me nowadays that you've only got to beat these boys up to make them fast.
Everybody's injured, aren't they? Yeah, but no, Ryder doesn't look like he's moving around the bike very well to me.
Yeah, a bit stiff. Unusual for Michael to go down, and unusual for Michael Rutter to be riding injured. He is, through his career, he is a safe rider, very neat, very tidy, and very unusual to get caught out. But Snetterton has caught out the best of them so far this weekend.
Ulsterman Marty Nutt was the best Superbike Cup rider after the demise of Brogan, who had to go in pit lane for a drive-through, but now it's Chris Martin who's taken over the honours of best Superbike Cup rider. That is for the privateers. Speaking with John Reynolds this morning, who was on a bit of a wide mission there as he came out of Sears. Don't quite know where he went, but it was a wide old line as he came through Sears. talking with JR this morning, he said that it's remarkable just how fast these privateer bikes are. There's never been so many good motorcycles in the British Superbike Championship.
Well, where John was complaining was actually on the exited corners, because I think the privateers bikes, they have a bit less power and they're less prone to wheelie, and they get out of the slower corners nicer, where he was struggling with a massive torque of the business, he could just keep the front end down. And like Glenn says, the Hondas are so good at keeping the front down, delivering the power nice and smooth, and very linear power band and close ratios, particularly the first 3 gears. You can see that they work really well.
Hayden spinning the rear end there on bike 18. Still leading though is the HM Plant Honda of number 6, Ryoichi Kiyanari, and he crosses the line then. He's on lap 12 now, as next up comes Leon Haslam on bike 91, the Airwaves Ducati. Then it's the other HM Plant Honda, number 2, Michael Rudder. Then it's 18, James Hayden on the Rizla Suzuki, followed by his teammate John Reynolds. Dean Thomas on the Hawk Kawasaki's in 6th place. Steve Plater on the Hydrex Honda, after not a particularly good start. He's up to 7th place now in front of the Honda Racing.co.uk bike of Carl Harris, who also has been up the road a couple of big times here at Snetterton. He's already fairly beaten up from Croft just a round or 2 ago. Ben Wilson is the best of the Vivaldi Kawasaki's in 9th place, with Gary Mason, the other Eddie Stobart bike, in 10th.
Yeah, great ride there for Ben Wilson, 9th position on the Vivaldi Kawasaki. Ben Wilson, a young rider with a lot of talent, and just needs to get the bike right for him. There's no question that he's going to come good.
Scott Smart, of course, joined the team just 1 round to go. They've got a lot of work to do on that motorcycle. He had an off on Friday, went into the field at the end of the front straight here. It used to be carrots, but it must now be potatoes.
Well, you got it in before I did. No, I'm not even going to say it.
Spuds McKenzie won't speak. Lap 13 of 25. This is the battle for 3rd place, and it is a battle at the moment because Michael Rudder, beaten up as he is, has really got to keep it together, because Hayden is closing in and Reynolds won't need much encouragement either. The 2 Rizla Suzukis chasing hard the HM Plant Honda. But all the time that Michael Rudder's out there, I know he's chipping away, he's getting points left, right and centre, but Kiyanari sits on 25. 20 will go to 2nd place man Leon Haslam if it remains where it is. Only 16 goes to Michael Rudder.
Hayden along the back straight.
Well, that's the power of that Rizla Suzuki, isn't it? We know that bike has tons of grunt. And he's made the pass.
Wow.
Well, that's incredible. I just didn't think he'd be able to do it from that far back.
A little bit wide.
Michael Rudder, though, maybe another day when he's feeling a little bit bitter, would not have let him get away with that. So, through to 3rd place, and the podium has gone. James Hayden on lap 13 of 25. Superb stuff. Chris Martin still leads the Superbike Cup. Marty Nutt still in 2nd place. James Buckingham, the Superbike Cup leader, is back in 3rd place in that particular race within this major Bennett Superbike race. Will Reynolds do it? I think he's going to, isn't he? I think Michael Rudder he's sapping very slightly, isn't he? He looks like I think Glenn pointed it out a little bit earlier on, just doesn't look comfy on that motorcycle, and it's very, very hot out there. Maybe you two, since that you're slightly less long in the tooth, Neil, than me, explain just how difficult it is when it's this hot.
Well, these things are really hard to ride when you're 100% physical fit, and when it's hot it obviously saps energy. Snetterton is not a physical circuit, but you still are working really hard. You're holding on when the bike's accelerating, you're pushing hard when the bike's braking, and there's quite a lot of changes of direction. Reynolds there trying to do what James Hayden did down the inside. Not quite as brave as James Hayden. I don't think anyone's quite as brave as James Hayden, but John Reynolds setting Michael Rudder up for a pass.
Yeah, it's going to come, isn't it? I think we've got a long way still to go in this. Just under 10 laps, I think, of this to go. So Kiyanari out front by 2 seconds from Leon Haslam, the pole sitter. So Haslam somewhat unable to stick with the rear end of Ryoichi Kiyanari. Kiyanari getting a blitzer from the green line. Oh, JR! That's racy enough at Russell Chicane.
I pulled it off as well. Fantastic.
Well, I tell, 2 beaten up boys side by side into Russell Chicane, and that can so often end in tears.
Well,
I think that says more about Michael Rudder than JR.
Yeah, JR could see it. He swung the Suzuki in there and managed to get under him, keep him tight. I really thought there's a good chance of running wide there, but he did a good job. But like you said, Michael Rudder, not quite his competitive self this weekend, and a little bit beyond.
Here it comes in. Oh, from a long way out. I tell you what, he almost used Michael Rudder as a berm. Shades of Jonathan Ray, a la Knockhill almost.
A little bit. Shades of John Reynolds at Croft when he went underneath one of the Vivaldi Kawasaki's, but he didn't get away with it that weekend.
Oh no, he pinged him straight into the gravel trap, I seem to remember. Good on you, JR. Good to see you riding so good again. Welcome back. Lap 15 of 25. I'll tell you what, there's a fair old battle going on in the Superbike Cup as well. Chris Martin and Marty Nutt are stuck together out there at the moment. Bikes 26 and 77, if you get a chance to see them somewhere in the back of your shot. But all eyes, well, Michael Rudder slipping back to 4th place, and that is a dear old place to be in. He's
old JR's been a little bit rusty really lately, but it looks like he's blowing the cobwebs out now.
Well, it's quite a good place to do that, I think, Snetterton, on a lovely day like this, really. It's like I think Neil's already said, it's not too physical. They know those Rizzo Suzukis are fast here. A lot of, well, I mean, they come off psychologically a brilliant week last year. And
see John Reynolds' bike, it was really loose going into Richie's on the last lap there. That's normally where you start to feel the tyre dropping off a little bit. You feel it there, then you know that your tyre's on the decline. Hopefully things will level out. You can see JR struggling to get some side grip.
Malcolm Ashley, it looked like to me there on the Kawasaki that Kianari's just passed. So Kianari's just stuck in another fastest lap. Another fastest lap for Kianari, wow. 1:05.6, and he really didn't need to do that because he's got such a lead. Incredible. He is a machine. He's been re-chipped by Honda.
3/10 under the lap record there, and that's pretty impressive. It just shows that Michelin's have reacted well to the high track temperatures. It's maybe what they were looking for.
Daniel Crosbeen, the French guy that's really the team leader for Michelin, and they came and went each week last year for British Championship Racing. They built tyres just for UK tracks. I was speaking with one of the Pirelli guys this morning. That's the biggest problem. All their tyres work real well on these long, fast European circuits where they run the World Championships, and when you come to the short, sharp UK tracks, tyres just do not quite work the way they expect them to, and they've had to build perfect tyres. I have to say that HM Plant Honda and Michelin, what a mammoth effort they have put in to make this guy and these motorcycles work the way they do. I can swear this bike, when I heard it start up for the first time on Friday, was a completely different motorcycle, different exhaust note. It sounded like they'd really worked on it here for Snetterton. It just sounded like a completely different bike.
I've never seen a team so serious, or a tyre company so serious about winning the championship, albeit maybe the best Superbike national championship in the world, but these guys are so serious. They've only come here with one intention. They did last year, but this year they've upped the ante even more.
Number 22, Michael Pensavale, has retired into the pits, while John Reynolds, true to his mature status in life, is on lap 17, closing in on James Hayden. James Hayden might be the more fierce or ferocious of the two as far as track antics are concerned, but track craft, you cannot take a single thing away from John Reynolds. And I reckon he's going to have a bit of a look back at James Hayden.
He certainly is. Maybe James Hayden's struggling a little bit with tyre traction now, but both guys know how important it is to get good solid finishes today and get the season, or get the second half of the season off and running.
Gas forks have been the byword in the Rizzo Suzuki camp. They've been trying to sort out that front end a little bit. James Hayden seems a little happier, I think, now than he was as John Reynolds, and that was a mistake by Hayden coming out of Sears onto the back straight, and it's given John Reynolds an opportunity, but he's just a little shy still in that really rapid entry to the S's with the brakes just feathered on all the way through.
And who can blame him? James Hayden is particularly strong into there. You mustn't forget about Leon Haslam. What a fantastic ride he's having in second position. He's there, he's 4 seconds behind Kianari, but doing a brilliant job.
Glenn, a lap of Snetterton.
There goes JR under James Hayden.
Another mistake by James Hayden. It was a mistake on the Sears.
I think he's struggling with tyre grip, really, either front end or rear end, but he's running wide. His lap times have dropped off a bit.
Big difference as far as these two are concerned now. Blue flag being waved as Malcolm Ashley gets moved to one side by the marshals. Race director Stuart Higgs in control. And through goes number 1, John Reynolds. Reynolds then is third. A podium this year. Wow. It would be a very welcome sight indeed to see the defending champion back in a situation where he's fighting for podium finishes. How long will it be, I wonder, before he's fighting for a race? There's James Hayden's wife, Jo, slightly embarrassed with the picture of herself. Don't know why. I'll tell you what, that is going to be a beautiful baby when it's born. Glenn Richards, excuse me as I digress very slightly there. A lap of Snetterton. Just, you're the latest out of all of us here to do a lap of Snetterton. I mean, what's it like as far as a motorcycle's concerned, planted on this track?
Well, I mean, obviously, JR's is going through the bunghole there, and that's quite a dip there. On the TV, it doesn't quite show up as much as what it is, so you're at suspension lows and unloads. Corum's very, very good corner. A lot of riders like the corner because it's a third gear corner, and, you know, you can generally get the bike to spin a bit around here. The chicane here, we all hate the chicane.
I understand why. That's because most of you got injuries, including yourself with a broken collarbone, as you see it. No, you're holding the mic okay, though.
Yeah, well, I've got my right arm, haven't I?
I suppose you're lucky that you've got 6 weeks off to get that fixed.
Yeah, but no, for sure, it's good on a Superbike, this track, because it's probably the only track in England where you can get full throttle for more than a couple of seconds.
We are looking at the battle for third place. We're at Sears Corner at the moment. This is where James Hayden was lacking a little bit of grip and gave John Reynolds a bit of an opportunity to get right with it. I think Hayden is effectively out of this battle for third now. Ryuichi Kiyanari, just to recap, here's your race leader on the HM Plant Honda. 5 seconds now in front of the Airwave Ducati of Leon Haslam, who is, well, I've got to say 10 seconds is adrift. Third place, John Reynolds on your race leader Kiyanari. I'm just looking for the split. 5 seconds back on Haslam, so it's fairly well spread out the top three. Hayden, of course, is in 4th place. Rutter is in 5th place and slipping back. Plater is up to 6th place now. Steve Plater on the Hydrex Honda. There he is. No, it's not. That's Carl Harris. It's Carl Harris who is behind Plater. In fact, I think he's got in front of him. He has. Plater has slipped behind, getting mixed up there. Plater there on the Hydrex Honda has gone behind Carl Harris, who likewise has had a couple of big offs. In fact, Carl Harris must be the most beaten up man out there.
Yeah, when he went down at Croft and he didn't get up straight away, you knew it was a big one. Carl Harris can recover from anything. He is built like the proverbial brick building.
Yeah.
But Carl Harris fighting back. It's taken a long time, but he'll be back. He's on the Rossum Open this year. He's going to be back up there, but he is still regaining fitness.
10th place start for him. So number 9, Carl Harris, is in 6th place at the moment. You're looking at the battle for 6th place. Steve Plater has slipped behind him on the Hydrex Honda. That's his first ride on the Hydrex Honda, and he's getting on with it okay. Remember, Plater, of course, the Sendo Kawasaki team, slightly out of commission at the moment. Enzo Di Clementi, the team owner, no doubt will give us a bit of a report as far as, hey, look at the power of that Honda chasing the other Honda.
Not slow.
The Hydrex Honda was quicker than the official Carl Harris HondaRacing.co.uk bike.
Could be the hole in the air, maybe, I don't know.
Yeah, sometimes depends how you get run on through Sears onto the back straight, and if you can, slipstream Carl Harris.
He is a big lad, is what you're trying to tell us, aren't you?
Glenn's laughing here, and Carl Harris, definitely bigger than he used to be, and maybe good for slipstreaming.
Carl Harris then still in 6th place, Plater still in 7th place. Good ride from Ben Wilson on bike number 11, just behind these two in 8th place at the moment on the Vivaldi Kawasaki. Another good ride from Ben Wilson. Everyone might have thought that Scott Smart would come into this team and overshadow Ben Wilson. I think it actually made for more for Ben Wilson to motivate himself and get a move on.
Well, I think it's done two things. Firstly, Scott Smart's Kawasaki ZX-10 experience will be good. They can find better settings. There's also 2 young guys there and a new rider coming in. It's going to fire up. They're going to focus. They're going to want to not let him suddenly finish in front of them. So, 2-pronged benefits there really for the Vivaldi Kawasaki team.
Ben Wilson's got some good guys behind him. Dean Thomas on the Hawk Kawasaki, only 10th. We'll have a word with Glenn about that in a moment. Tommy Hill on the Virgin Mobile Yamaha in 11th place. Scott Smart on the other Vivaldi bike. Then Richard Wren. That's not a bad ride for Richard Wren. 13th place in this race. He'll be happy with that, and I'm real pleased to see the ex-Virgin Mobile Cup winner of last year, who inherited the Superbike ride courtesy of his performance last year in the R6 Cup. Good to see him up there on the leaderboard and earning some points. He's a good little rider, and he's really been chucked in the deep end with that Superbike ride.
He certainly has. It's the best run of the season, but of course his teammate Tommy Hill only a couple of places in front of him there. He's been qualifying good this weekend, strong on Friday here at Snetterton, but unfortunately that's not where he wants to be at this point.
3 going through is Gary Mason. Gary Mason, the best of the Eddie Stobart bikes now, of course. Number 3, that is, just behind 11, Ben Wilson. That is Steve Plater to the right of your picture. Carl Harris to the left of your picture. And in front of them, well, it is a back marker. Must be Malcolm Ashley again.
Malcolm Ashley,
it must be, yeah, Malcolm Ashley 21. Sorry, I was going to say, can't be Michael Rutter. He's a long, long way in front. 4.5 seconds in front of Harris. I think 9 seconds in front of Carl Harris. So Harris has got a bit of work to do on lap 23 if he's going to close in on them.
Gary Mason looks like he's got past Ben Wilson there.
Running a bit hot though, didn't he? And that's going to mess him up for the right hand part of it. But of course, if you're into the right hand of the S's, you can just balk everybody and make sure you get it squared off and squirted down towards the bomb hole. Through to Coram Curve, one of my favourite corners on any course anywhere, and it really hasn't changed in the 100 or years since I raced. There is Ryuichi Kiyanari, race leader, bike number 6, wheeling onto the Revit straight, heading down towards the S's. Fastest lap so far, only second on the grid, of course, behind Haslam, the pole sitter. But we are on lap 24, about a lap and a half to go for the HM Plant Honda man. Michelin tyres, if there was a question, they've answered it. They've worked absolutely perfectly throughout this. He is the quickest man out on the track still. And he's into the bomb hole and some 6 seconds in front of the second place man, Leon Haslam. Dad Ron Haslam standing in pit lane. He had his fingers crossed, I think, right at the beginning of when I got here at 7:30. I think Ron had his fingers disjointedly crossed at that particular point.
And Dan Haslam as well. Just spoke to her before the race.
Yeah, it's nerve-wracking, isn't it, for mums and dads? As you'll find out soon, Neil.
Well, talking about the Haslams there, my youngster had a go at the Ron Haslam Race School. He's only 12. Taylor had to go there a couple of weeks ago with Ron instructing, and if you haven't tried that, I mean, you can go at any age. It's just the best experience. I had a lot of fun just watching, but a lot of kids there just having the best time with Ron at his race school at Donington.
Yeah, I saw Anne before. She was a mess on the grid down there.
The more competitive Liam is, the worse she gets. Poor old Anne went through it all with Ron, and she should be at home making Sunday dinner now and looking after Ron. And
you're going to get a slap for that off
well,
a few people, I think.
Well, I'm talking about that in a nice way, and Anne loves racing, but she's got to go through. She's probably got another 20 years ahead of her with Leon's career. He's only still very young, 21 years old.
Indeed. So, Ryoichi Kiyanari then, if anybody missed it, he is on the last lap. It's almost boring. This guy is so good. The 22-year-old Japanese at Coram Curve. And no doubt he'll have the rear end of it all lit up. Big black line down on the road as he comes to Russell Chicane for the last time. Ryoichi Kiyanari, when he is uninjured, he is unstoppable. A wheelie then onto the front straight as he comes to the line. It's a long way up the hill. Checker flag waves in front of our commentary position here. Kiyanari takes it, and some, 5 seconds behind or more will be a wheelie, but at least he finished second in great style. The length of the straight, Leon Haslam, the pole sitter, gets second place. And welcome back, John Reynolds to the podium. Information of the results. What a result. 8 seconds, the thrashing of Leon Haslam, the pole sitter there. Leon will be happy with second place, I'm sure, 20 points, but not that happy to be beaten by that margin. John Reynolds is back, he's on the podium, going to be good to see him. No champagne celebrations today for obvious reasons. James Hayden in 4th place, Michael Rutter, Carl Harris, Steve Plater and Gary Mason. They're our top 8. Ben Wilson on the Vivaldi bike there in 9th place. Tommy Hill, he's going to be disappointed with that. Dean Thomas likewise with that one. Richard Wren, though, good result from him up to 12th place on the Virgin Mobile bike, and that's good to see the former Virgin Mobile Cup winner right there with the Superbike. Palmer, Smart, Hobson, Quigley